I have the distinct pleasure this morning to introduce and lead a very significant, a very meaningful part of our program, and that is the real life story of a client, of an agent, and the friendship that now binds them. I want to introduce you first to our first guest, our very own Guy Walker, an agent in the Central Coast General Office. He's been with New York Life for 24 years, during which he's been a member of MDRT and also a very active member of NAFAB. He has been recognized several times for his contributions in the community, but also for being a top producer. Very involved in the community, Guy is, especially on all issues related to education. So please join me in welcoming your fellow agent, Guy Walker. And now to our very special guest, Ahmad Givens, also known as Real, from the television show on VH1, Real and Chance, The Legend Hunters, which aired on VH1 once again in 2010. Before that show, Ahmad had the opportunity to participate in another show, another reality show, I Love New York, and together with his brother Kamal, they landed eventually the opportunity to lead their own shows. Real Chance of Love and Real Chance of Love 2, both of them in 2009. Ahmad grew up in an Arabian horse ranch in Northern California before he and his brothers relocated to LA. Eventually they formed their own hip hop band, the Stallionaires, making reference to their upbringing in the horse ranch. And that band has been producing their own music, writing their own music, and also having the opportunity to interact with some of the industry's giants, including Michael Jackson, Chaka Khan, and Bobby Brown. We're very, very happy to have him join us today. He's obviously a well-known reality TV star, but he's also a family man. In 2009, Ahmad married Raquel Givens, and in 2010, they welcomed their first child, Ahmad Elijah. About a year ago, in March of last year, Ahmad was diagnosed with stage 4 colon cancer. And after receiving pretty negative prognosis from his doctors, he sought out both holistic and Western medical treatment. Today, he is receiving chemotherapy, and we're very happy that he is doing well. He has exceeded for sure all of the expectations of his doctors. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in welcoming to the stage our client, Ahmad Givens.
Does she love me? Does she love me not? I think she love me. She said my love is all she got. Does she love me? Does she love me not? I think she love me. I also think she love me not. Don't you care what I say? Does she love me? Does she love me not? I think she love me. She said my love is all she got. Does she love me?
Does she love me? And we're certainly loving having you, Ahmad Givens, in this morning, joining us at the National Cultural Markets Conference. Thank you so much for being here.
Oh, thank you for having me. I appreciate it, everyone.
And thank you, Guy, for giving us the opportunity to learn more about this story and for having this opportunity to speak with both of you.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much.
Absolutely.
For those of us who may not be as familiar with your work, Ahmad, do you mind telling us a little bit more about who you are, where you grew up, and what made you decide to pursue a career in music and eventually in television?
My father was the first African-American to show Arabian horses halter in the United States. So he's been involved with horses since he was like 18 years old. And when his father used to tell him, boy, no black man shows Arabian horses, and he used to tell him to do something else, but my dad stuck with it. So he ended up getting a horse ranch in Northern California. We grew up there. I lived there for about the first 4 years of my life. And truth of the matter is, it was, at that time in the early 80s, this was about 84, it was still pretty racist up there. And so, we had break-ins and the whole nine, so my parents were like, you know what, we have 4 kids, we got to get out of here. So we moved to Inglewood, California, Southern California, with my grandmother, and we lived there for about 8, 9 years, and then, times got tough, and we ended up moving to South Central Los Angeles. And we, maybe like a month after we moved to South Central, the LA riots happened. We lived like right around the corner from where the LA riots happened. But anyway, so what got us into music was there was a hip hop group called Crisscross, and they had this song called Jump. And back in the day, the Jackson 5 inspired kids to want to sing. For us, it was Crisscross that made us want to rap. So we would take our boom box, we would go in the front yard, and we would rap and perform Crisscross songs for all the neighbors. And then eventually we started writing our own music, and my dad saw that, these boys are taking this serious. So that's when Dad turned into Joe Jackson, and it was pretty tough from that point on. And, so we've always been into music. We work with a lot of people. But one of the barriers we had to break was, we've been in and out of record deals since I was about 15 years old.
Right.
One of the barriers we had to break, right when we did I Love New York, we were signed to Sony. We had our own label deal, and Sony told us that don't do the show, and if you do the show, the industry's going to look at you guys like reality stars trying to do music versus you guys actually being real musicians. And that's what happened. And so it took us a while to break that stigma of, look, dude, we've been doing this forever. We're not just reality stars. So that's how we got into music. And how we got into TV, my mom used to watch a show called Flavor of Love, which I thought I didn't like the show. And we were signed with Sony, and I didn't like how things were going. And I remember praying to God, and I asked him, can you please get us out of this situation? Please fix it, yada, yada, yada. I just said a long prayer. 2 weeks later after that, I get an email on my MySpace, and it was the casting directors from the company that does all those shows on VH1. They asked me to come down and said, can I bring my brothers? And lo and behold, we ended up on I Love New York. So.
Great. Well, thank you for sharing that. And I do have to note something. As a Mexican woman from northern Mexico, cattle country, I do have to admire those boots.
Thank you, thank you. I'm
really wonderful.
I'm a true cowboy, I guess you could say.
Thank you. Thanks for sharing that. Guy, always a pleasure to speak with you. Thank you once again for introducing us to Ahmad. How did you two meet? I mean, do you hang out in Hollywood parties or around celebrities? How did that happen?
Yeah, not exactly. I live in the central coast part of California in a town called San Ynez. Ahmad and his family actually happened to be coming to San Ynez to visit. They were looking for some real estate. I had a relationship with the real estate broker. Ahmad and his family also were doing a little bit of talent search. They were in the process of looking for a young starlet to actually compete with Rihanna.
Absolutely.
At the time. And my daughter, who was a singer, and the real estate person who was a friend and a client of mine knew of this, had suggested to Ahmad and his family that they come and talk to me, meet my daughter. We did meet, and that was the beginning of the relationship, and the relationship has just extended over the last 10 years.
Okay. Well, thanks for that. And thank you for choosing New York Life as your life insurance provider, Ahmad. I do understand, however, that there was a little bit of hesitation there about getting life insurance. You didn't think you needed it. Tell us what was going on.
Well, there's a couple things. When you talk about life insurance, you have to come to the realization that you have to die one day. And that's not something, at the time, in your 20s, you don't want to hear that. You don't want to talk about it. So yeah, that factor. And then the other thing is, me personally, I don't like being sold on something. I don't like when somebody's trying to sell me something. Like, Guy never sold me. He never tried to sell me. His biggest thing was making me understand. And it took a while, but eventually I got it. When I met Guy, he didn't, I used to go to his mojito parties and he can make
Mojito parties.
Oh,
that
yeah.
sounds good too.
The guy can jam when it comes to alcohol. We would go to events and we would just have a good time. To me, his thing was, it was building a relationship with me versus let me get him some life insurance and then he'd go about his business. So for me, it was the fact that he embraced me and wanted to build a relationship with me, and that's why I started to hear him on life insurance.
Guy, what do you see on your end? What kind of objections or how do you go about that? How do you gain his trust?
I think Ahmad's description is pretty accurate. When I first met him, it was somewhat just getting acquaintance, and it was really a different sort of business relationship when we first met. But over time, it was simply a function of he was a young man who I appreciated his talent, appreciated his personality and who he was, and started taking on a role of a bit of a mentor-mentee relationship in terms of some of his other businesses, and really trying to have a conversation about building a foundation under him. So in fact, we were talking about this a little bit last night, that the relationship has been over 10 years, but some of it was a function of me really determining where Ahmad and I are in our relationship, and what role does he want me to have in his life. And so it took a while. It did take a while. And then I think once we finally started talking about how to really build protection and build programs around him, still questions, but that's a part of the process.
Great.
And I think that one pivotal moment that made me realize that I need life insurance was the show we did, Real and Chance, The Legend Hunters, was a show that we had to go around the world looking for some monsters like giant grizzly bears and 26-foot crocodiles and Bigfoot and all that kind of stuff. But the show was really dangerous. I mean, it was really, really dangerous. And when I realized that I could possibly die on this show, you find out the producers get a $4 million policy on you. And the producers asked me, do you have life insurance? And I said, no, I don't. He said, why not? He said, you have a wife and kid, you should have it. And when he said that, on top of the fact that I thought I was going to die a couple times, made me realize that I need life insurance. So when that show was over, I called up Guy immediately.
Well, good. And we're very glad that you did. Ahmad, talking about your show, reality TV, first of all, is everywhere. We tune in any channel these days, and there's a reality show going on. Reality TV is supposed to be about real life, unscripted, unrehearsed. But I cannot think of a least rehearsed moment than the moment you learned you were facing stage 4 colon cancer. What are your recollections from that day?
That day was very, very surreal. I felt like I was dreaming. It felt like a dream. It felt unreal all the way up until the day that I had to do chemo. I remember I was bedridden from January 8th, which is my birthday, of 2013 till March 14th, which is the day I went into emergency to find out what was going on with me. Because I got misdiagnosed 3 different times. I had other doctors put me on different pills, and it was just making me worse. And I remember I was laying on the hospital bed, and the doctor came in crying. And when I saw her crying, I knew it was something serious. And she told me, she didn't want to tell me, but she had to tell me that I had stage 4 colon cancer. And she was like, it's spread to your liver. You have 7 tumors in your liver now. And my mother was right there next to me on the right-hand side of me. And it was, I didn't like the fact, it was hard with my mom being there as well because I was my mom's miracle child. Her placenta was partially disconnected for the last 2 months of her pregnancy, and so I came out like blue and small and the whole nine. I was in and out of the hospital. Thank God, Stanford Hospital, they saved me along with my mother's care, in and out of the children's hospital till I was like 8 years old. So for her, to see, to deal with that, then 33 years later, she finds out her son has stage 4 colon cancer. It's almost like, am I going to lose my son after 33 years? So that was hard. And then on top of that, I kept having those moments because I had surgery. They removed the tumors out of the colon, which it ended up being rectal cancer. They thought it was colon, but it ended up being rectal cancer. They removed 3 tumors out of the left side. I still have 4 on the right side, but they're extremely tiny. And when I tell you that my tumors in the liver were so big that you couldn't see the liver anymore, that's how much they just took over the liver. I was having liver failure, and my doctors thought I had like 3 days to live, so they just zapped me with chemo. I got left out of there with my veins burned and everything. So anyway, after the surgery, my body didn't like it too much, and my mom kept saying she didn't want me to have surgery. But I did, and after surgery, the tumor spread to the left side of my brain, and it landed right on the motor skills, which controls all your motor skills. And so I went partially paralyzed on the right side of my body. And I had to learn how to walk again and everything. I had radiation and the whole nine. And lo and behold, that tumor is now dead in the brain. So, I just have faith in God, man. Thank you. So it's been many of those moments.
I'm sure, and I cannot begin to imagine what the day was like for you guys. How did you learn about it? What were you doing? What was your first reaction?
Well, I remember it well. I think I was one of the first people Ahmad called to share with me the news that he had been diagnosed with stage 4 cancer. Our attention just, I don't really think so much of as an agent, but more as a friend. All our energies and concerns and resources went towards just trying to make sure that Ahmad was going to be okay and that he got access to the best type of care that he could get. And I think really just sort of being there as a friend and being prayerful with him and the family. And, we've been sort of taking this walk together ever since.
Is there one action, Ahmad, one action that Guy took, one word that he said, one gesture that he had toward you that made you think, wow, this guy really has my back?
Over the years, there's been many, but the one that stands out in my mind is when I believe it was when I came home from having the first chemo session, right? That's when you came over.
Right.
And, we had to get together at the house, and it was, when Guy came there, he sat next to me, and I had dropped like 30 pounds at this point. And, I looked like I was on my way out. And just the look on his face hurt me because I saw how hurt he was. And man, it's like when you see people like that and you see how much they love you and care about you, it makes you want to fight even harder and fight even more to stick around,
I'm glad that you used the word fighter. The photograph that we have of you wearing the T-shirt in the hospital that says fighter, that picture for me says it all. You are a fighter.
Thank you. Thank you.
And I want to ask you, what keeps you fighting? What makes you get up in the morning and say, today I'm gonna be well and I'm gonna fight?
Number one is the will to live. I love life. I love the bugs outside. I love the ocean. I love everything. The second thing is, my family and friends. And my little boy, man, that kid loves me to death. I know, I grew up in a neighborhood where African-American boys didn't have their fathers in the house. And I always told myself, when I get married one day and have kids, I was going to be there for my kids. And that's a vow that I made, and that's a vow that I plan on keeping. And that's what keeps me fighting. And, my wife, she's only 25 years old. We got married when she was 21. And, my thing is, I can't leave her here as a young mother, and I know how much they depend on me. I mean, they really, really depend on me. And I'm like the glue you know, I hate to admit this, but I'm like the glue to my family when it comes to my brothers and my mother and my father. And, you know, after I got cancer, you know, they say when you get cancer, either the family's going to come together or things can get out of control.
That's right.
And my family, I know you guys are going to, you know, I don't know if you ever see this one day or not, but it got a little out of control, you know, and I helped bring things back together. And when I saw that, I said, man, I have to stick around. There's no way I can go anywhere. You know, so it's a combination of all those things is what inspires me to stay here and just keep fighting. I feel like, you know, God has me here for a reason. There's a reason why I'm going through what I'm going through. There's a reason why I'm sitting here with all you fine people today, and I just have to keep going.
Absolutely. Thank you. Thanks so much. I have to ask you this, Guy, other than the moral support, the friendship, that being there for Ahmad, tell us a little bit about the policy, the features of that policy that Ahmad has, and how it's helping him and his family go through this process.
Certainly. Well, first of all, I'll sort of reiterate the fact that it took time for us to process and educate not only Ahmad, but his family, his wife in particular, just, you know, trying to make sure that this is the right thing for him and for the family. Typically, when I write policies, we always apply for waiver of premium. Fortunately, in this case, we did the same, and so the policy that was issued had a waiver of premium. When Ahmad talks about the fact that, you know, he has strong faith, as I do as well, it just takes a lot of emotional energy for him to continue to do well. And I think the doctors would even say that a lot of the reason that Ahmad has done so well is because he has been able to focus and maintain his faith. I would suggest, to some extent, having that waiver of premium on the policy contributes a lot to Ahmad not having to worry about that piece.
Right.
That's just one more distraction he does not need. And so, you know, as you know, it's a 90-day waiting period when you apply for the waiver of premium. Because Ahmad was diagnosed within 2 years of that policy being issued, it took a little bit longer because they had to go through an investigation. And again, I think this is important from the standpoint of what we do as agents. Yes, that waiver of premium's on there. Yes, I want it to be activated immediately. But I also understand the company's position is that it's within 2 years. It takes a little bit more to, and I was able to explain that to Ahmad, and you know, Ahmad certainly was looking forward to it being done. It took a little bit longer, but the bottom line is at the end of the day, the people in home office worked very closely with me. I'm not sure if we really finally got all the information that we needed, but at the end, I shared with them that this was going to become a stress issue. They approved the waiver of premium, refunded the premiums that Ahmad had paid during that window, and the policy is still on waiver of premium. So again, it's not just really as simple as saying, you know, the waiver of premium, you don't have to pay the premium and so forth and so on. I think in many cases with Ahmad, it really does help him because there's a peace of mind that comes with the fact that he doesn't have to worry about those premiums being paid.
Right.
And dealing with this, you need as much peace of mind as you can get.
Mm-hmm.
You know, stress, they say stress is a part of, you know, helps, you know, create cancer inside the body. So my whole thing is being positive, staying stress-free, and that's what I've been doing.
Great. We're really glad to hear that, you know, the policy is helping, the waiver of premium is helping.
Absolutely.
And to hear you confirm that added peace of mind it's a real benefit. Thanks for that. Mark alluded to that earlier today, and that is the fact that one thing we all know for sure is that we don't know how long we're going to be here. Mm-hmm. None of us in this room. What we do know, and what we do know well here at New York Life, is that some of our products and that our products and our services help ensure that life goes on even after we're gone. Mm-hmm. So let me ask you, Ahmad, what would you like that life to be like for your wife and for your son?
Well, another vow I made to myself when I was younger, I said that when I had a family, I was going to give my son the best education, and they weren't going to live in any of the neighborhoods that I lived in. I told myself I wanted to get a place by the beach. That's what I did. You know, there was many other things. So I provided a certain lifestyle for my wife and my son. My son has great education, and I want that to continue. That's why getting life insurance with New York Life is one of the best things that I could have ever done, because I don't know if I have another year. I don't know if I have another 5 years. I don't know if I have 20 years. Whatever God blesses me with is what he blesses me with. But at least I know when I'm gone that my wife and my son can continue, the lifestyle that they have,
And in looking at the pictures of little Ahmad, like
That boy
father,
loves the
like
camera,
son,
man.
is he going to become a musician? Is he grabbing the microphone already, singing in front of the mirror?
I don't really see any real talent yet musically in him. But, he definitely loves the camera. He has a big personality. I don't know. My parents never pushed us in any direction. They said, let's find your talent, what you guys are actually good at, and then let's pursue that. And I'm going to take the same thing with my son. My wife wants to push him she wants him to be a pianist and all these other things. But I said, he's 4 years old, let's find out what the boy's talent is. So what he's going to be in life, I have no idea yet, but I hope I'm here long enough to find out so I can be there to push him.
Guy, obviously through this story, we're very glad to confirm that the very important work that all of our agents do in helping protect lives in our communities pays off. I want to ask you, I know that you work in a couple of communities. I want to ask you, what opportunities do you see with the work that you do to create even more awareness about the importance of having a financial protection strategy in place? What opportunities do we have, all of us?
Yeah, great question. I think I would start off by saying I think there's tremendous opportunity in all the markets. And obviously, specifically, we're here talking about cultural markets. I think in each of the cultural markets, there's tremendous opportunity. I specifically do work primarily in the African American market and the Latino market. And what I recognize is that we are, for the most part, grossly underinsured. And I do think there's a learning curve that the professionals here can help those communities get through. I think Ahmad, for me, in many respects, is a little bit of a prototype and an example of why it's not just hit and run.
Right.
This is a relationship that's been existing over 10 years, and I can't tell you the exact date when I started really focusing on Ahmad. It's time for us to start doing something, but what I can tell you is it's a process. And so certainly I can speak a little bit more to the African American and the Latino community, is that those communities want the same thing as every other community. They want to make sure that their families are protected and that their businesses can continue. They very often don't know how to make that happen, and they very often aren't sure how life insurance plays into that. That's our job.
And Guy, just to piggyback, he was the first person to educate me on life insurance. I didn't grow up with my parents or anybody telling me and teaching me about life insurance. No one said that you need it, or why. So anyway, I'm sorry.
Yeah, well, again, that's why I say I think Ahmad is just a perfect example of, a young man who certainly was coachable and open. So not everybody's ready for the message, but there are a lot of people who are. And so I think there's tremendous opportunity in all the markets, and again, as I say, particularly in the African American and Latino market, I can absolutely speak to there's a learning curve, but that's why we're there. Yeah, so I would encourage all of us, do what we do.
Do what we do. It starts with education and with people like you helping us identify the kind of opportunities that are out there, not only to be in the community, but to connect and speak to that community. So thank you so much for the insights that you bring to us.
Monica, if I could, because I know one of the questions that has come up, Ahmad is a celebrity, so I've had several people over the past couple of days ask, in effect, so how did you get a celebrity to become
Right.
a client? The same way I get everybody else to become a client. The process is really no different. It is about a relationship. Sometimes I probably put a little bit more effort in creating an opportunity to have a relationship. But if there is no relationship, there's no business to be had. So, again, for those who have been asked that question, this is the same way that I have relationships and develop clients with anybody else. It's about the relationship.
It's about relationships. And yesterday, I remember when we were getting ready for this conversation, I mentioned usually when we watch a television show, we think, oh my God, these people have made it. These people on TV, singers, actors, they made it. They have money. I'm sure they have tons of people advising them on how to make important decisions in life. And I was asking you, how come you didn't have life insurance? How come you didn't have that part of it taken care of?
It's a good question. I was young, had bad managers. Manager introduced me to my attorneys. Manager introduced me to my CPA. And, they weren't really about trying to educate you and telling you what you need so you can advance in life. Their whole thing is they see you as a cash cow and they want to make money off of you.
Right.
And that's the reason why. And there's a lot of entertainers like that. That's why you always hear about entertainers suing some accountant firm, or they have to sell their house, or they owe the IRS this amount of money, is because they fall into the same trap. That's what happened. And at the end of the day, I can only blame myself because he was there. He was there educating me and telling me different things. But at the same time, you want to say, I'm a man, let me figure this out myself. Let me prove to everybody that I'm a man and that I could do this on my own. When honestly, you have people that have been there. I had older people such as Guy around me that have been there, done that, and they're trying to educate me, and I didn't listen.
Right.
And if I would have listened, I could have saved myself a lot of heartache and a lot of money, that was taken from me.
Yeah.
But I learned, and now I'm on the right track.
Great. I love both accounts because they confirm that everyone is a client. Everyone who is in need of education, in need of more information, in need of having a financial protection plan in place, in need of create a legacy. And speaking of legacy, Ahmad, and to wrap up this segment, I want to ask you, what would you like your legacy to be, not only as an artist, but also as a father, and very importantly, as a role model for other young men who may see themselves in you?
For my son, I want him to know that his father did everything that he could to provide the best life for him. That his father was there for him, his father was honest, and by me getting life insurance with New York Life, if something happens to me, my son and my wife can continue to live, the lifestyle that they're living. And hopefully they use that to continue to do the right things. And through my son, my legacy will continue. As far as other young men, like I said, I grew up in a neighborhood that, either the boys were being raised by, or kids they were being raised by single parent, an auntie, a grandma. They were, you know, in the foster system. Hopefully they could see a guy like me, you know, got married, is trying to do things the old traditional way that this country was built upon and the world was built upon, which is family. And that, you know, this guy came from the bottom, the gutters, South Central Los Angeles, which was really bad. You know, when, you know, I remember thinking, will I live to see 16? Really worried about will I actually live to see 16, because that's how tough it was. Then I got to 16, will I live to be 18? Then when I got to be 18, will I live to be 21? That's when I got out of there. You know, so hopefully I can inspire other young people and let them know that they can survive. But hey, if I can go through cancer and go through everything that I've been through, then they can do it too. And hopefully it can inspire them, you know, to be strong and to want to do those same things, you know. And by having cancer, I have, you know, I have another platform, and hopefully I can educate people on cancer as well. They're saying in the next 5 to 10 years, every single American will get cancer, which is horrific. It's an epidemic. And you know, prior to me getting cancer, I was ignorant of cancer. I knew nothing about it. When the doctor told me I had stage 4, I didn't know what stage 4 was. I didn't know that was the final stage of cancer. You know, so hopefully I can educate a lot of people and, you know, just share my story with the world.
Well, thank you. We do share with you that commitment to education.
Thank you.
We do share with you your commitment to help others become whatever they want to become, as in the case of your son. And very importantly, we are very glad to see that you're doing well, so well that you can be here with us today. We wish you the best.
Thank you.
Good health and all of the good things in life for you and your family. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
For
Can I say
sharing
one
your
last
story
thing?
with us.
Mark, you're a hell of a speaker, bro. I'm trying to get like you, man.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
It was great.
Wait, did you ask you to stay up here for a minute? Sorry. So I want to personally thank Ahmad for committing to share his inspiring story to each and every one of us today. As you know, when Guy brought the story to us, we had a conference call so that we could get to know Ahmad and his story. And I have to tell you, in a conference call, sometimes it's tough to get to know people. Through that conference call, I felt like I knew Ahmad. Of course, I've known Guy for a long time, very closely, just by the interaction and the conversation. And when we talked about this story and whether he wanted to come out here 3,000 miles to the East Coast, he said, I want to come out here because I want to share my story. And so thank you for committing to come out here. Thank you for being an inspiration for so many people. We really appreciate you being here. I also want to thank Guy for what he does every day and for bringing Ahmad to the Nylik family, because that's what we do each day. I've known Guy Walker for the 16 years that I've been at New York Life. He's a friend to me, and I can see why there's a bond and a relationship between these, and I think this speaks to who we are as the Nylik family. So thank you, Guy. I also want to thank Monica for bringing all of this together, making sure that we had this coordinated. She's done a great job, and we appreciate her bringing all this together. Let's also... We share Ahmad's feeling about helping others build a bright future and supporting them in becoming whatever it is that they want to be. That feeling is called Keep Good Going. In appreciation for sharing his inspiring story with us, the New York Life Foundation will make a $5,000 gift in Ahmad's honor to a nonprofit organization of his choice. So thank you. So again, thank you for sharing your inspiring story. I think we can all take that back and really think about the opportunity that we have. So thank you.